The good member from the 25th, Representative Keaton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't think we're ever going to hear a better case to non-concur on any legislation that we deal with. The two policies, the two bills, SB 5179 and 5123, we went through those within the Education Committee. We had a very stressful debate on 5123 because of some things within the policy that weren't fully fleshed out, in my opinion. We're adding different classes and categories of individuals and giving extra protections to those categories. Now, I believe that was being done to try to prevent bullying, and we're all in complete 1,000% agreement that bullying cannot be tolerated and should never be tolerated. But we couldn't even make amendments within our body to make sure that this applied only to students. And I'm looking at problems that could happen within school districts, thinking about the what ifs. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if someone without proper immigration status decides to take sanctuary in our school? And this is not just students, this could be adults. So it's not just preventing students from being bullied, adults could do that. And then under specialized protections, they could sue the districts. The costs in the districts are going up. This policy wasn't resolved. One of the reasons it didn't make it out of appropriations. Made it out of the education, but not out of appropriations. So we didn't get that bill passed. The first one didn't get passed even out of education because we thought it was too big of an issue.
The Speaker will remind you to speak to the motion to concur with the Senate amendments. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That's why I don't want to concur, is because of the controversial that came from it. So when the body over yonder added these two bills, one of them in a way that would not work within the House, it added language and stuff that's going to cause problems for our districts. May I read?
Please proceed.
Of course, my computer shut off. The intent of it, and I'll try to save it for final remarks, but it's from a small school district's perspective. And what it really came down to is they're working really hard to be nonpartisan members of their communities, which is what a school board's member are elected to do. And they see the stuff that has been brought forward within the amendment as very controversial, as stuff that's going to drive their district apart and have them focus on things other than education, and that's not what it's about. We're making it very difficult if we accept these. We're making it very difficult for a lot of our school districts to be able to do their paramount duty. Non-concur.
Further remarks, the good member from the 25th, Representative Keaton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The good gentleman from the 19th properly described how I feel about this bill. It has really turned into something that should not be voted forward. It's going to hurt. I've told you before a story about what the people in my district have told me about how could this bill be coming back up? It just passed, 82 to 15 on the floor last year. How could that even come up? It's a trick.
Speaker, remind you to speak to the policy, please. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bad policy has plenty of problems with it. Now the amendment adds in also trying to hold districts to the, accountable to OSPI to basically untip the balance that sits in our state constitution right now, where OSPI doesn't have a hammer over the top of the school districts that are locally elected and officials that have their own responsibilities. This tips it out. If the amendment was going to be made better, OSPI should be part of that, because OSPI hasn't been following the law for over a year. When the amendment was put into law, they stonewalled and did not move forward to make the law happen. And then they were waiting for a court decision. When the court decision in January and 2081 became good law, they've purposely been putting out stuff to the districts contrary to following the law. So OSPI should be in there if anything else is. This is bad policy. It's going to cause division. May I quickly read from the small district? I just want to give their opinion, because on our education committee.
If it's relevant, please proceed.
Thank you. This bill's exposed the reality that lawmakers clearly do not understand the impossible task faced by the 295 school boards across Washington, attempting to remain nonpartisan in a partisan state. The difficulties school boards encounter in upholding neutrality while being subjected to legislation that forces ideological compliance is becoming unbearable. If the legislature truly wanted schools to be focused on education rather than politics, it would step back from policies that inject division and uncertainty into our education system.